Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Brankers Creations, and before I get started, I would just like to point out the utter absurdity of me wearing this jumper in spring. It's just crazy. Can I just check and see that the audio is okay? I've been doing a lot of audio tinkering here and there, and I'm just concerned that I might have broken something along the way. So please let me know if there are any issues with my audio. It is, you know what I should do? You know what I should do? I should do this. You ready? Oh, that's not good. That's not good. That's not right. Clock. There we go. Clock. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I'll plonk that up here so now everyone can see what time it is at this particular part of the world. We have just had daylight savings a little while ago, so we are now, I'm at sort of an hour closer, I guess you'd say, to sort of the US. I am... it just makes it a little bit easier. So normally this would have been me broadcasting at 10 a.m. and now it's 11 a.m. So it does make it a little bit easier for me if I'm trying to match the US time. How is everyone? Let me say hello to everyone here. As I did mention, I have not streamed in quite some time. I've been very busy doing pre-recorded videos, things on Juicy Crumb, and this little old ultrasonic cleaner here behind me. So it's been keeping me very, very busy. So let's go in and say hello to Retro Techie is here. Joe is here. Hello, Joe. Charlie is here. Frank S. Rudy is here. Apples Anonymous is here. Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack is here. And New Retro Repair, and Ryan Joffrey, and Jay is here. Hello, Jay, and Thomas Armstrong, and Luke F, and Patrick Pitts, Justin Morgan, Retro Hut, Michael Mullet, Enzo Fitzhume, Jared Burma. I think I got it all. Can I have 1.5 hellos? Hello, Jack. What did I want to mention? A couple of things. Anyone who's a new subscriber, please jump on and say hello. If you've subscribed from watching one of my videos, typically the sorts of things, the main ones I pick up subscribers from are either my beginner's guide to soldering or my ultrasonic cleaner video. So if you are a new subscriber and you're seeing this is one of the other things that I also do, and that is live streams, where I typically just go through the repairs that people send me and I do them live, and it's opportunity to chat about them and be silly and ask questions and talk nonsense. So that's pretty much it. 1 a.m. Sunday on my end. That is early. 1 a.m. Sunday. Crikey, you must be in Europe or something like that, I would say. Would that be correct? New Retro Repair? I subbed because I saw you in the chat of other streams. Never. You've never seen me in the chat of other streams. Never, ever, ever. Red Leader, hello. Managed to snag a G3 blue and white with an aftermarket chip I bought. It was a G4, but ended up just being a faster G3 with an overclock dial next to the cache. No branding, but I suspect power logics. Yes. The old G3 blue and white is one of the computers that I do love to use. I've got a lot of fond memories of it. It was, of course, that kind of comeback time for Apple, really. The little bubble G3 iMac was doing quite well, winning Apple over again. Steve Jobs back at the helm. Sort of Apple becoming more of an innovator again. And certainly my recollection of computing was that when the G3 came along, sort of gaming hit a new sort of era, in particular with 3D graphics and stuff like that. You know, prior to that with the 604s and stuff like that, yeah, plenty of games on there and that, but I just sort of feel like there was sort of some big advancements went on in terms of, you know, quality of graphics and all that sort of stuff at that time. Now, I've lost a cable. It's very frustrating. I don't know where it is, but I've lost a cable. I don't know if I brought it down here. It's somewhere floating around this workshop, or if it's floating around in my office, but it's very frustrating. I cleaned my office the other day looking for the cable. Didn't find it. Got a nice clean office now, though. That's something. Now, I haven't really figured out what I'm going to be working on today. I figured there are a couple of things. One, I was looking at an LC575 before that was giving me a sad Mac chime. I thought we could swap over some of the RAM chips for that and see if we can get him working again. I've also got to do a whole stack of trace repairs so that I can get Javier's SE30 sorted out and back off to Joe. So see if we can get that done as well. Old classic Bungie West called Oni. I don't know that one. I remember games like Nanosaur. Remember Nanosaur? I remember that one being like, whoa, just sort of a real eye-opener when it came to graphics. And of course, Carmageddon 2. Now, although I still to this day prefer Carmageddon 1, I think Carmageddon 1 just had this lovely kind of rawness about it, and, you know, and everything. But Carmageddon 2 definitely brought some better graphics with it. Definitely better sort of 3D graphics, and of course the multiplayer aspect. Could you multiplayer in Carmageddon 1? I can't remember. Because you definitely multiplayer in Carmageddon 2. I did that for hours. What do we got here? 2 new batteries for outbound Mac clones. Cool. Outbound's a cool one to have. Quicksilver Oz, hello. Greetings from Brisbane. Seems you're all good after getting Rona, and I agree with Jay. Fix your bar sign. It looks wrong. Yeah, I know. I don't know why it fell down. It was hung up by a couple of hooks, and one of them's kind of fallen down. It happened quite some time ago, and I just haven't done anything about it. So I've been too busy. Bugged them. Yeah, I remember that one too. Max is here. Nanosaur 2 on the Mac G5. Wow, awesome. Sydney, we have now, it is only October, and we have reached a level of rainfall for this year, 2022, that makes this the wettest year since records began in, I think, 1858. So when you hear me complaining about the rain, there's a bloody good reason for it. It has just been pissing down. Today we have a slight reprieve. We even had some sunlight this morning, which is kind of nice. But yeah, horrific stuff. I managed to clear myself a big enough gap to work today. I was working on a Lisa yesterday. So this is what is commonly referred to as the motherboard for a Lisa. Anyone who is familiar with Lisas, the Apple Lisa. And so this is the motherboard. Now there's not much on this. It's a few capacitors, a few resistors, really not much, a couple of transistors and an IC. One IC, that's it. Now all this really does is handle all of the other boards. It's unlike sort of the modern Macs where the logic board has all of the brains on it. This one here, what it has is this motherboard, and then you place into one of these slots, you place an I/O board. Then in another one, you place a CPU board, and then in this one, you place a memory board, and in this one, you place a memory board. And then you've got these expansion slots here as well. I don't know what these are for, but these little plastic, these little things go up and down. So anyhow, this is one that has some absolutely horrendously bad sort of holes here, sort of trace damage here. Now, I have managed to get another one of these. Well, I didn't get it. The owner got another one of these to replace this, and it was working fine, and then it suddenly stopped working, and so I've got it. And to be honest, it's the bizarrest thing that it's not working, because there's just nothing on this board. As I say, there's just a handful of resistors and stuff. I've replaced quite a few things, and I was testing it last night, and I was sort of thinking, I think I've got it with this one. And then the power supply packed it in. So now I have to repair the Lisa power supply. So I'm extremely annoyed about that. I mean, I'm glad that the power supply packed it in here, and it didn't pack it in when it got back to the owner's house. But I hate working on power supplies. Hate it. Hate it. I'm probably going to have to ask for help as well, because I'm terrible with power supplies. I don't recognize anything on the thing. It's so friggin' old. It's like, okay, where's the bridge rectifier? That might be it there. The little group of diodes, it's probably it there. And I'm looking, I'm sort of thinking, you know, voltage regulator, you know, there's just, it's such an old power supply that I just don't recognize anything on it. Okay. You love working on PSUs. Okay, I'll send it to you, Jeremy. Jeff Barnard, hello. Like a PCI interconnect board. Yep. Today we'd call that a backplate. It's a good name. It is definitely called a motherboard on that one, though. It actually says it on there, motherboard. It's a silly name for it, really, as you say, because it's more like a backplate. I mean, it's got all the connectors on it. So you've got all of your pluggeroonies here. So there's your parallel port. There's your mousey port. And then you got a couple of serial ports, I think. Yeah, a couple of serial ports there. Video out. And a reset switch. So, okay. Now we're going to do it. Sorry about anyone who's been watching my chicken live stream. It just sort of went offline. It went offline when I was working on the Lisa last night or yesterday afternoon. And I happened to be testing it and plugged it in, and there was clearly some sort of leakage. Mains leakage or something going to ground, because it made the power trip. And obviously when the power trips, all the power in the house goes out, including this thing here. We're getting that sorted out. We're getting it sorted out to actually isolate the separate circuits. So my workshop will actually eventually be on its own circuit. And then when I trip the power, I will just trip this office and I won't trip the entire house. But the bathroom stays on. The bathroom's on its own circuit, on its own kind of safety switch. Because it's not a circuit breaker as in it's overloaded. It's a safety switch. It's one that actually recognizes that there's a leakage, and probably saved my life a few times, because I tend to touch high voltage things a lot. Steve is here. Hello, Steve. Mac84 dual streams. Are you streaming as well, Steve, or are you watching someone else? Is someone else streaming at the same time as me? They're allowed to, but I don't know. Can't blame them. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat here, just making sure I haven't missed anything of significant importance. He said, Trina is streaming, so Mike and I are hazing her. Hazing her? I don't know what that means, but never mind. My apologies go out to Trina that I'm streaming at the same time as her. I did not know that she was going to be streaming, and of course, as I have said many times before, I have very limited window for me to be able to live stream, and it's either kind of yesterday or today. And yesterday wasn't an option, so it is today. Let's get some work done. Let's see if some of these cameras work. I haven't actually done this stuff in a while. Top view, let's try that. Oh, look at that. Okay, 175. No, that is not a model number. That is the job number in my system. This is job number 175. This is the 575. We can tell from the connector that we're dealing with a 575. You can basically take a look at this board and instantly know it's a 575 based on this CPU with this connector. There is no other board that has this connector and this CPU. So it has to be a 575. Simple as that. And welcome for joining in on This Is My logic board. Okay, now I don't have my microscope camera working at the moment, but that's not uncommon. So let's see if we can fix it. Unplug and plug. Hey, there we go. It's all working again now. All right. So let's get this back into working with logic board mode rather than working with stupid Lisa power supplies. Sean is here. Hello there, Sean. You were going to send me your job system code to try it. I frickin' was too, wasn't I? Bloody hell. I am useless. Yep, I am. I am going to do that thing that you just mentioned. That thing you just mentioned is going to happen. Yes. A few things I still need to sort out with that, but it's still quite functional. All right, so this has been recapped. It was not recapped by me. It came to me recapped. They've used electrolytic caps instead of them's tantalums, which is fine. They're modern electrolytic caps. I don't know if they're good quality ones or not, but you know, the new ones don't leak as much. Having said that, the way the ink has come off these in the ultrasonic cleaner is a bit of a worry. They don't normally do that. Maybe they are cheap. But anyhow, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. Otherwise, I'll have to program my own. Yes, no. We don't want that to happen. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty. Dirty. So dirty. Just got a little bit of iso alcohol on the eyepieces here so I can see through them. Someone who is more careful with their stuff might actually put a cover over this at night time to protect it. But while I did do that, I used to do that. In the olden days, I did that every night. I got complacent and I haven't done it in donkey's years. All right, so we've got to get the focus sorted. So that's nice and sharp on that plus. There we go, it's nice and sharp. And then I need to adjust my little diopter. There we go. Okay, we're in sync. All right, so let's start whipping off some RAM. So essentially the short story with this one is it came to me, I thought it was a recap. I even did a live stream. I'm like, hey, I'm going to recap this. And I'm like, these are new caps. What's going on? And then I looked at the job ticket, which helps to do. And it said, it's been recapped and it's giving a sad Mac chime. So anyhow, I gave it an ultrasonic clean because it still had some gunk on it. And then we did some testing and it's still giving us a sad Mac chime. So the next most common thing to occur under these circumstances is that one of these on-board RAM chips has gone kaput. I've written a job management system before, back in like 2003. It was in ASP Access. It was bad. Okay. I had a job ticketing system donkeys years ago. I mean, we're talking decades ago in FileMaker Pro. And that was okay. But, you know, one of the things that I really wanted to have in this job ticketing system, well, there are two things that I really wanted to have in this job ticketing system. The first was the ability to attach photos, because it's just a really important thing for tracking stuff. The other was the ability to be able to make a customer entry into the system. So what I can do is when I have a job open, I can actually, first of all, there's a communication system in it. I can type in it and I can send a message to the customer and then they can reply, and all that will be recorded in the system. So you can see any communication going on. But the other thing you can do is there is a website, a web page. It's you know, got a big coded URL, so it's not like someone can just stumble on across it by accident. And you can, when someone sends you a job, you can send them a link and they can click on that link and look at the progress of the job. So they can see the job ticket with the information about what it is, when it arrived, what's been done, on what date that's been done, see photos, see progress photos. And then it also has a little portal in it where you can type a message. If they want to send a message, they can say, like, where's my bloody job? So, yeah. That's the only thing people say to me these days. They're very polite about it, but they do basically say to me, in very kind words, how's it going on that repair? There was a complete LC575 selling on eBay for $1,000 or buy it now, $1,400, described as need this for a Mystic upgrade. Need this for a Mystic upgrade. Oh well. Good luck to them. I don't think they'll get that. I really don't. But good on them for trying. And let's face it, you know, you can put things up on eBay for any price you like. Doesn't mean you're going to sell them. So this is a little RAM chip here. It's made in Korea. How about that? No wonder this thing fell. It says made in Korea. What are you talking about, Doc? All the greatest stuff comes from Korea. Not exactly as it was said in the film. Because they were talking about Japan. But let's face it, I mean, you've got, what we in Australia refer to as Hyundai, but I believe in America they call it Hyundai. And once upon a time they used to make pretty garbage cars, but I think they're actually making quite good cars now. Things change. By the way, have I mentioned about this multimeter? In case anyone is wondering, what I have in my hand here is a Kaiweets KM601 multimeter with a beautiful big color display. It's a true RMS. It is a smart multimeter. It's not just an automatic multimeter. It is a smart multimeter. And it's extremely expensive. Now, if you haven't bought one of these yet, today is the day. If you look in the description, you will find a link and you will find a 15% discount code. So if you want to buy one of these for an obscenely low price, link in the description. There we go. That's enough shilling for now. Let's switch it off. Okay. Right, so when I take the old one off, you know, I like to give the new pads a bit of a clean. I didn't do that just then, but I'm going to now. I'm going to grab some Flux. I need to get another tube of Flux. I've run out of my my V2. I've got V3 here with the special Brankus formula. When I went back and told them how they should change it, they listened to me and made modifications to the formula based on what I said. So it's the Brankus edition of Amtech Flux. My wife doesn't listen to me, but Amtech do. Okie dokie. Yeah, there's no way I would buy a Chrysler or a Dodge. Having said that, I own a Dodge, but it's an old one. I have just heard too many horror stories of build quality issues. I am well and truly a Japanese car driver. The two cars that I have, one is a Mitsubishi and the other is a Toyota. That's just how it is. I used to own a Holden, which is General Motors. It's an Australian brand name, but it's essentially that's the chip I took off. It's essentially, you know, it's General Motors. Yeah, I would never buy one again. Just rubbish. Absolute rubbish. So, yeah, you won't catch me buying Chrysler. You won't catch me buying General Motors. You won't catch me buying Ford. Simple as that. This is a 475. I didn't mention that. What I have here is an LC475 or a Quadra 605. Could be one or the other. It can be one or the other. I mean, you make your own decision. You put the CPU in it. You put the little jumper in a particular position, and it will decide whether it is a 605 or an LC475. But they have the same RAM chips as the 575, so that's why I'm swapping them over. What Holden did I have? It was a Holden Vectra. It was a Vectra, yep. And it was rubbish. It was built as a disposable vehicle, but Holden were charging like boutique prices. They were treating it like it was some sort of super fancy, expensive European vehicle, and it was just made like garbage. It was just made to die after a certain amount of Ks, and had no ability to repair anything. Everything had to be replaced. And of course, Holden were charging obscene amounts of money for that. So yeah, never again. Never again. I have nothing but good things to say about the Japanese cars that I own. In terms of reliability and repair costs and all that sort of stuff. Okay, let's put some Flux down here and drop this new RAM chip on, and then we'll test it. We're going to have to test it after each one, you know. Now, of course, if it doesn't work, then we can be fairly sure that the original chip is fine, and we can use that, maybe. Opel Vectra, yeah, they sure did. There were a couple of times when I needed to buy parts for it. I ended up buying it from the UK. Because in the UK, it was sold as a fairly mid-priced car. Out here, it was sold like it was some sort of super fancy thing. What a load of codswallop. Codswallop, I tells thee. Anywho. Question for any Australians here: how good or bad is the Ford Falcon Ute? Well, that's a pretty loaded question, and it does depend on who you speak to. There are your Ford diehards, you know. So one of the things that we have out here in Australia, which they kind of don't really exist in other places, and that is a thing called a Ute. Now, it's like a cross between a sedan and a truck in American terms. So if you're looking at your big Dodge truck sort of thing, which we would still call a Ute out here, and then you look at like a sedan type vehicle, like a normal saloon, and so essentially you've got a cabin and then you've got a tray at the back, but they are generally they're kind of like a sports utility. So a lot of the time they are fairly souped up. They've got pretty powerful engines in them. So they're a utility vehicle in that they have that tray, so you can stick your bags of cement in the back there. But they are quite zippy. And the Ford Falcon Ute is one of those sorts of vehicles. And you've also got your Holden ones as well, your Holden Commodore Ute. Okay, chip is on. Have I put it around the right way? Phew, I did. Ron is here. G'day there, Ron. I'll be speaking to you a little later in the week, won't I? It's a Ute, it must be good. Nice enough to go to church on Sunday. True story. It is a true story. Yes, I have heard that before. Okay. And of course, in Australia, certain parts of Australia, people will be driving nothing but a Ute. You will not see them driving anything else in certain parts of Australia. It is just Ute territory. Excuse me, I have to get up because there's something that's stopping my chair from rolling backwards, and it's making things a little bit difficult for me. Come on. Okay, there we go. There we go. You get out of the way. That's a big vacuum cleaner hose there. And then we've got some wires attached to a power supply. What's this power supply for? What do you reckon? I don't know. It's been tampered with though, so I've done stuff to it. I've done some things. Who here has not seen my latest ultrasonic cleaner video? Come on, own up. The ultrasonic cleaner follow-up video that I did, I released earlier in the week. Who here has not seen it? Drake is here. Have I said hello to you, Drake? Hello, Drake. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Commodore person, V8 supercar style. Yep. Look, if I was going to own, you know, sort of that sort of vehicle, a Commodore would probably be my choice. The fact that they don't make them in Australia anymore is a killer for me now. That's really freaking disappointing, but it can't be helped. I mean, there's no real solution. You can't just keep funding an industry that's dying on its ass. But I had both the cars I have are Australian made, but not anymore. They don't make cars here anymore. Great build quality on them, but what are you gonna do? Great job on your last ultrasonic cleaner video. Thank you very much. I have not and will not see it. Come on, Jay. Jay even saw a preview. I sent Jay a preview of it before I had actually recorded all the talking parts. So what I did is I just recorded the audio and then I just had a still image of me going. And then it's like, what's wrong with this video? Why isn't his lips moving? All right. 575 has one. You wouldn't believe how many times when I replaced the first chip, it fixes them. But let's not assume that's going to happen this time. Now, which analog board is this? I have got quite a few problematic analog boards for this Color Classic. I've got one that whistles. I've got one that vibrates. If this is the whistling one, it's fine because it works, even though it whistles. But one of them just goes... And I'm hoping this isn't the one that just goes... Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get some power. Plug this into the power. And don't like the sound of that one. I didn't get a degauss noise. Okay, let's see if we can start them up. Little known fact, you can actually switch these on with a needle. So I'm going to grab my needle and switch it on. Ouch! Don't prick yourself though. Ouch! Did it again. What a weirdo am I? Wrong end. There's something wrong here. Well, I'm not sure what. I think this might be the bad analog board. Bad analog board. Let's have a look. GT, hello there. I used, for the silver brazing, I did this. Butane. Still gas in there, not much though. I bought a new one of these, so just gotta wait till this one empties. That smells. All right, so what are we going to do? I'll tell you what, the first thing we need to do is we need to get a board that we know works. And then we will... Actually, I wonder if my little trick for switching these on only works on the Color Classic and doesn't work on the 575. I better get a keyboard. I had better get a keyboard. Do my due diligence. Do what you have to do. In the immortal words of a very famous YouTuber who told us one time, was it press that like button, hit that bell, do what you have to do. Okay, switch them on. Oh, got a green light on. Didn't make no noise, but hang on, let's everything's noisy in here. I'm trying to hear stuff. Switch them on. Oh, ding. There we go, there's one noise gone. And la 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 la. Don't know if you heard that, but that's a sad Mac chime. It sounds sad. Bum 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 bum. So generally what I try and do is I do one chip at a time, because then I know exactly which chip was the problem. Sometimes, I'm not going to say all the time, but sometimes I get so lazy that I just end up changing all of them. Because I'm like, let's look at this. Could be that, could be that, could be that. K-Mac Vintage, hello. By the way, I have new spectacles. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I have new spectacles. And they have far better magnification. They're multifocals. They have far better magnification on them now, so I can see good. Not as good for the screen, because I sort of have to look like that. But it's still all right. I don't need to pay too much attention to the screen, let's face it. I thought you had to use map gas on silver braid. Maybe. I didn't. It's just the same stuff that the plumbers are using for doing copper pipes. So, well, it looks like a. Oh, I found it. This went missing the other day, and I found it. This is a relay, and it is a rubbish relay. It is absolute rubbish. This here is rated. It says 10 amps. 10 amps, 250 volts. That means you could theoretically put 2,400 watts through this thing. Not a chance. I used this with this, connected it up, switched it on. So as in this close the relay, close for 240 volts, and was running less than 2 amps through it. It was left running for 5 minutes, and at the end of 5 minutes, the thing was fused shut. So even when I disconnected everything from it, other than the actual mains power, so I disconnected all of the controls from here and everything, it was still closed. And I ended up having to resort to percussive maintenance. I had to whack it, and then that made it come undone. This is not the sort of relay that you can use if you're setting up for a thermostatic control or anything that needs any sort of level of accuracy, because it just stays on. It is poo. I have ordered a replacement. I've ordered an Omron. Omron makes some nice relays. So, but anyhow, it was one that came with one of these little Arduino kit thingies. You know, you connect it up to Arduino to switch things off and on. You'd probably work for a light globe or something like that. But 2,400 watts and it'll melt. Yeah, that's what it says. It says it'll do 10 amps. I mean, come on. How you use glasses on the microscope. I have to take mine off to see good. Have you used special eyepieces on or something? No. Oh, I just get, I'm just used to it. It's fine. I mean, maybe they are special eyepieces, but I don't think so. Okay, Scorpio. So anyone who sees Sean's comment there about, hey GT or hey Greg, long time no see. I happen to know that they just saw each other today, I think it is, at VCF East Swap Meet. I saw a photo today of Sean, Mike, Steve and GT all together, swapping their meats. Or something like that. Anyone come away with anything awesome? curious to know, do tell. Were there bargains to be had? Scored a sweet Osborne. Is that one of the ones with the keyboard on the front? So that you pull the keyboard off the front and it's like a great big box. I assume that's the sort. That's certainly what Osborne were famous for. Osborne. 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 Playing with my Apple IIe now. Oh, they're a good thing, those Apple IIes. Swap meet. Swap in their meats. Isn't that what you do at a swap meet? Don't you swap meats? Has someone misinformed me? Okie dokie. I've got to take the other one off, don't I? Because I am assuming, I'm assuming that the chips on this one are okay. Maybe they're not. Got another TI-99. Nah, don't want to hear about that. Don't care about TI-99. Care little about it. No, I'm just joking. That's good. It's a good find. I do love the vintage of all shapes and sizes. Same as I love tech of all shapes and sizes. Not just Mac tech. I'm going to use a paddle pop stick. It's not working very well, but I'm going to use a paddle pop stick as a heat shield. This is one of the many LC475s that I have here that doesn't work. And they're the kind of, the LC475 is, they're all missing stuff, you know, they're all missing bits. I could probably put them all together into one working board, but that would just take so much time. And that is one thing I don't have a whole lot of. I don't have in abundance. Had two Macintosh portables there, but they wanted eBay prices. Yeah, they can go fornicate themselves. That's crazy. You don't ask eBay prices at swap meets. That's just stupid. Stupid. Oh, frangipani. Is that enough? Is that good? It'll do. That's fine. $1,500 for his backlit one. Yeah, you know what? In this country, $1,500 for a backlit, that's probably, I'd say probably one to $1,500 is about what I would probably pay over here in Australian prices from, you know, from a collector. Obviously everything over here is far more expensive. There are two reasons for that. One is it's a more niche market. There are fewer of them out there. The other is that, I don't know, Australians just seem to have a lot of money to spend. And for that reason, it just pushes the prices up. I'm using some nice smelling flux here. I think this might be V2, I'm pretty sure. My preferred flux is ASM, but in order to get ASM, I would have to stand up and reach behind me to grab a new tube of ASM from the shelf. That is just way too much to ask when I have some V2 just here. So I was on a live stream recently with people talking about getting counterfeit flux. We're talking about Amtech, of course, counterfeit. If anyone hasn't seen my video on the fluxes, pretty important to do so because there's a fair bit of important information about that. But I just want to point out that if you have bought some flux recently, excuse me, just 1 second here while I just do this thing. If you have bought any flux recently, you will find on the tube, you'll find this, there's the camera, here we are. It's really hard to do this. This camera is not good for it. It's just not in the right place. Can you see it? Can't see it. Can't see it at all. You can see it in my video. Anyhow, there is a security protection-y silly thingy on this. It's got a little, what do you call it? It's not a hologram, but it glows in UV light. So if your label does not have the little pattern that glows in UV light, you may well have counterfeit flux. So, just saying. Right, so that's 2 chips that I've got down here now. Shall we try it? Yes, let's shall. Now, if we start getting to like the 3rd one that's still not working, I'm going to just change them all, okay? Okay. Worst demo ever. Yeah, it was shocking, wasn't it? I didn't really think that through, did I? Anyhow, maybe I should have tried a different camera. I don't know. What about this camera? Top view. Will this work? Bing. Here is the UV light, ultra of the violet. Oh crap, you can't see it there either. You can just start to see it there. It's just, these cameras aren't really good at picking that sort of stuff up. So, This thing, the little UV light arm that I have here, it's for sort of putting boards here or up there. It doesn't extend all the way across here, so it's bad. Mention your flux video in a comment on Adrian's Digital Basement where he got some flux donated to him. It stated Amtech, but the color was brown. Yeah, well, I'd be interested to know what it was. This, if you have a look at this, you can see it's a pretty honey sort of color. It looks kind of like, you know, I don't know, sort of a browny, sort of honey sort of look. Whereas if you're making me turn around, aren't you? This is 213. You can see that is a much lighter. It's almost like creamed honey. Here we've got V3. That's sort of a brownish sort of color. And we've got 4300 LFTF. That's sort of a whitish sort of color. What else we got? This is a really old, oh, this is sample 88. That's gone real brown, look at that. Gosh. There's some old V2. Holy crap. Do I not have any ASM? I don't think I have any ASM. I might have some in the house. I hope I have some more ASM. I'll be fuming if I don't. I'm looking forward to trying some of these, but I haven't opened them yet because they're for a review video that I'm planning. I want to review some of these fluxes because there are lots of fluxes out there, and it's like, well, which one should I be using? And there are lots of different factors that you need to take into account. You need to take into account things like, how easy is it to clean off again? Do I want a UV trace on it? UV trace basically means that you can put a UV light on the board and any flux you have left over will glow. And that's quite handy if you are wanting to make sure that the board is clean. I've got a camera over here. I can look at this one. Side view. Side view. Look at that. How goes that? Yeah. And, you know, how well does the flux stay on the board? You know, when you apply some heat to it, does it just immediately smoke and disappear? Does it leave gunk behind? Really yucky black gunk. Lots of different factors that you need to take into account when you're working with flux. What you want. So, for instance, one of the ones that I use, my favourite one is the ASM. And that's a 599 ASM, the Amtech one. And I'm very happy with that as a flux. But it's not perfect. That one there does leave some sticky goo behind, but I've got an ultrasonic cleaner. So, I mean, I finish the job, I dump it in the ultrasonic cleaner, comes out spotless. It's not something that concerns me. If you don't have an ultrasonic cleaner and you're having to clean boards with isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush or some distilled water or something like that, how easy the stuff is to get off the board is very important to you. And for that, I would recommend something like the V2. The V2 is a lot easier to get off the board. If you are concerned about the health aspects of the environment, the smoke, fumes, chemicals, go with the V3. The V3 is a much safer chemical mix. So ASM is my preferred version too. Yep. I think Adrian's flux was way old. Yeah, there's some types of flux, not all of them, but some of the formulas of flux, they really show their age. You know, when they get old, they start to discolor and they start to develop bubbles and stuff like that. So that's not all of the fluxes, but some of them. So manger flux. All right, switching him on. And let's switch him on with the power. So this is what I did last time. Switch it on, green light, nothing. Switch it off. Switch it on. This is probably something to do with the fact that it doesn't have a battery in it, I guess. I can make it go beep beep. Okay, try again. Okay, so this time I got the normal sort of pop you would expect from it switching on, but I did not get the sad Mac chime. It's not restarting at all. It's getting the reset, so when I press the keys on the keyboard to reset, the normal, you know, it's Control, Apple, a power button, it's popping. So it is registering the reset, which says a lot of things. It says a lot of things on the thing are working, but we knew that anyway. Never tried Vegemite, you should. But what I would say about Vegemite, goodness me, don't stick it on the bread like it's peanut butter, for goodness sake. You have to be very, very light. You need to spread it super, super, super thin. And make sure there's plenty of butter on the bread as well, so that the Vegemite can kind of mix in with the butter. And then still expect it to taste unusual and salty. And malty. Salty and malty. Excuse me. Yes, I mean, obviously in this country, Vegemite is an absolute staple. You have your toast in the morning, have Vegemite on it. Simple as that. So I'm just going to grab another board here, maybe. Oh, and drop some things. Oh, I dropped the blue SCSI. What on earth? It's not even mine. It's the customers. Can't go around dropping blue SCSIs. Just want to have another look here for a donor board. I have some concerns because I've already raided some chips off this board, and it just worries me about whether there are problems with it. And I'm sure I have another LC475 board somewhere. What's that one? That's a Color Classic. I've raided almost all the RAM off that. RAM raid. Okay. Found another one. You can start taking the RAM off this one now. Okay. Another 475 board. This one has a chip on it. LC chip, which means it is a 475 and not a Quadra 605. Isn't Vegemite yeast from molasses? Yes, it was actually a byproduct, I think, of beer making. It was stuff that they had left behind from beer making and they turned it into a spread. So isn't that nice? I don't blame anyone who doesn't like it. But one of the biggest issues that happens is, you know, people say, hey, have you ever tried Vegemite? No, I haven't. Oh, it's a spread that you put on bread. And what they do is they get a spoon and they dip it in it like it's a piece, it's like it's peanut butter. They stick it in their mouth and they're like, ah! Because that is not how you eat it. Oh, and it's great with cheese as well, by the way. You get a piece of toast and you put some Vegemite down and then maybe put some tasty cheese on top and then grill it. Yum. It's to die for. Take 2 slices of bread, toast them, add a thick layer of peanut butter. Your mind will be blown. Driest snack you'll ever have, but so tasty. And if you're Jay, put some chocolate sprinkles on it as well. My wife loves peanut butter, absolutely loves the stuff. I very occasionally have it, and I'll often have it with honey. So I put the peanut butter down and honey on top. That's just delicious. But that's, you know, that's dessert. You know, it's real dessert food, that is. As I clean these pads, I'm checking to see that there aren't any obvious trace breaks as well, because it could always be that as the cause of our problem. Let's get some fancy old V3. Whoopsie. Oh, it comes out nice and easy. That's something. One thing I will say about the V3, I do like the colour. See how easy it is to see through it? Some of the fluxes, they are really hard to see through, and I like to be able to see the pads underneath the flux that I put down. Got quite a pleasant smell as well. I mean, to me, I would rather they had no smell at all, just no odour at all. The original formulation of the V3, also referred to as the Sample 88, it was really pongy. It had so much scent in it that I just found it a little bit too much. And that was the thing, I actually went back to them and I said, look, can you guys tone down the scent? So they pulled it back by about 25%, something like that. You think you see some trace breaks? Yeah, what you're seeing is where, I'm going to zoom in here. That is close. Where the trace meets the pad, here, right there, there's usually a little dip. And what happens is you end up with a little line on that dip. And yes, it is actually a place where trace breaks usually happen. And that's one of the reasons why when I was rubbing this, I was actually trying to rub away a bit of the mask so that I could see whether there was actually a trace break on that dip. And you can see after the cleaning that there aren't any trace breaks there. Mind you, we do have an ugly looking via there. Look at that. Dag nabbit. I mean, I think it's all kosher. It's all as kosher as Christmas, mate. There's a line from a movie. Oh, man, fume extractor is a long way away from the fumes. Peanut butter and strawberry jam on toast. Americans call it jelly. Yeah, my wife loves peanut butter and jam. I prefer peanut butter and honey. I know Christmas isn't kosher. That's a line from, what was the movie? Oh, God, what was it? What was the movie? It was, I think it was Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. When someone was talking about getting hold of some goods or something like that. And the guy said, are they kosher? And he said, yeah, they're as kosher as Christmas. And then the guy said, Jews don't celebrate Christmas. And he said, well, they're good anyway. Okay, what are we doing? We are taking some RAM chips off here. We've got those as spares in case we get all the way down to the end. So let's just whip them off. Actually, no, I won't do that, because if I take them off, and I don't use them, I'll lose them. I'll forget where they are, and they'll get lost. They're safer staying on the board. So we're going to do one more. Then if it still doesn't work, I'm going to start doing them 2 at a time, because my patience is wearing thin. A list of allies grows thin. Mr. Anderson. Allergic to Nutella. That's terrible. Having said that, I really don't like Nutella. I just don't particularly like it. It's made out of some sort of nut, isn't it? I can't remember, hazelnuts or something. I don't know. I just don't particularly like the taste of it. It's very sweet, but yeah, I'd rather, if I was going to some sort of nut spread, I'd rather peanut butter, and if I want it sweet, I'll add honey. So simple as that. They have Nutella pizzas. I mean, have you guys have seen those Nutella pizzas? Far out, man. Not my first choice. Far out, yeah, it is. I should actually try some of these other fluxes, you know, because I have people talking about them. I'm like, yeah, I haven't tried that one. Well, right there, I'm going to try them. Nutella is a chocolate bar in a jar. Yeah. Speaking of chocolate bars, what's your favourite chocolate bar? Someone say pizza? Yeah, I wouldn't mind some. DJ Craze, hello there. Should never be on a pizza. We have these things out here in Australia. Australians all know about them, but of course they're I think referred to something else in other parts of the world. They were given this name here in Australia because Australians are pretty useless at, or were, we're better now. Australians were pretty useless at kind of using the correct term or the correct cultural term for something. And so we have these things called doner kebabs. And I think the more accurate term for them is actually a shawarma. I could be wrong. It is essentially some flat, yeastless Lebanese bread, and then wrapped up inside that. So that's wrapped up outside, and inside it is kind of this meat, which is on a great big spit, big rotisserie thingy, and it's kind of like a processed meat with all sorts of spices and stuff in it. And it spins on this rotisserie, and then they shave it off, and then they shave that meat off, and they put it in the Lebanese bread with some lettuce, tomato, onion, often some hummus or tabbouleh as well, maybe some cheese, and then some sort of sauce with that, and they wrap it all up. And for me, it's just one of the finest tasting things ever. But anyhow, that type of meat, well, kebab meat, which they say they get it in these great big, like massive sausage type things that then sit on this rotisserie and spin around. And they are, there are places that make kebab pizzas. Actually, I'm going to see if the wife wants that tonight. They make kebab pizzas. So they get the meat from a kebab and they then put it on a pizza. And I'm telling you, it's pretty bloody good. Mm. Doner kebabs. Yeah, I have eaten. I mean, like I don't think I've ever eaten one on a stream before, but I remember eating one on when I was in the middle of having a like a, what would you call it? Kind of a chat Zoom meeting sort of thing with Jay from the House of Moth and Dana from Dana Doesn't Do Anything. And we were just chatting away, and I was munching down, and I remember Dana saying, "That looks like a burrito." Yeah, it's not. It's a kebab. Yeah, but it looks like a burrito. But it's not. Very different cultures. Both have yeastless bread, though. I'll give them that. What are we looking at? Got the 2E apart, and it is getting a good clean. Excellent to hear. Donut, Greek, Turkish, shawarma, North African. Okay, I don't know. Doctor Who. I like that. I also like the fact that your little avatar, Doctor Who, is a derivative of the Doctor Who logo from the late Pertwee Tom Baker years. That's the logo that's always in my head for Doctor Who. And in actual fact, at one stage when Tom Baker came to this country for a meet and greet and book signing and stuff like that, I remember coming away with a sticker that I had on my lunchbox, and it was that Doctor Who sticker, that sort of blue and white one. Check the reefer caps of the PSU. Good advice. Sound advice, Thomas. 3 chips have replaced. Let's try this again. So anyhow, these doner kebabs that are made here, they're basically made by members of the Lebanese community. We have quite a large Lebanese. We have quite a lot of Lebanese people in Australia and in Sydney, and so they're the ones that brought us doner kebabs. And it's a common late night fare. So in other words, you've been out drinking alcohol until the wee hours, and then on the way home in the taxi, you're like, yeah, I want a kebab. And then there are these little kind of roadside kebab places. They're usually like just a little food truck type thing, and they often set themselves up in petrol stations, or gas stations, what Americans call them. And so you're on the way home and you get the hey, can you pull in here? And the cab driver might go put some petrol in the taxi, and you go and grab yourself a kebab, and then get kebab meat all over the back seat of the taxi. That's one of our favourite pastimes here in this country. Do you want some, Mr. Taxi Driver? Okay. Okie dokie dokie. Right, 3 chips changed. Switch him on. Press the power button. See, it's changed behaviour now. I'm so confused. Do they have Vegemite pizza? Yeah, there's Vegemite in just about everything here. You can get Vegemite in lots and lots of stuff. You can get Vegemite cheese spreads. Like you might have like a cheese spread, like a cheese stuff, and they have ones with Vegemite already mixed into them. Just going to leave it here and see. The screen might just suddenly come on for all we know. I don't think it will, but I'm going to check. Hugh is the Welsh spelling of Hugh. How about that? Are you Welsh, Doctor Who? Dr. Hugh. Kebab after local pub crawl. Yep. Greg Brady, hello there. Remember Boris Breakfast Club? No, I do not. Pertwee is my favourite. Look, it's funny you say that, because I think he is now as well. When I grew up with Tom Baker, so I was very much a Tom Baker fan at the time. And of course, Pertwee with his very camp delivery and that. And of course, Pertwee's answer to everything was, we'd reverse the polarity. But as I kind of got older and started revisiting some of the Doctor Who's, I really did enjoy the Pertwee years. He was a great doctor. If my recollection is correct, even though they did revert back into black and white, the first Pertwee episode was in colour. So they were still transitioning from black and white. So all of the pre-Pertwee, that's the other guy whose name escapes me. It's in here somewhere, but it's just not coming. They were all black and white, and then the very first Pertwee was colour. And then they kind of went back to black and white a few times, and then back to colour eventually. Hey, piss off! The pigeon's in here. Not welcome. I'm kind of freaking out a bit now, the fact that I'm replacing these chips, and now I'm getting a completely different behaviour, but it's still not working. Is there another problem? Never watched Doctor Who ever. What the hey? Now, of course, Doctor Who has gone through some transitions. I mean, it started in the 60s or whatever it was, with, no, not Peter Cushing. It started with, I've forgotten all the names. William Hartnell. William Hartnell was the very first Doctor Who. And it was, I'm going to try some different Flux today. It was, you know, it was very popular and it was very new, but it was very rough around the edges. And I mean, they were for years to come, but and he was very he was a pretty rude sort of doctor as well. He was, you know, kind of arrogant and whatnot. And then they had the next guy, whose name escapes me, still escapes me. He was a little bit more of a joke. He was funnier and sort of, and then Pertwee after that, and then Tom Baker. And then of course you had all of those. They changed format at one stage. Because it used to be 4 sort of 45-minute long episodes for each kind of story. And then they changed it to, I think they just became hour-long episodes or something like that. And then it stopped for a long time. Then they did a movie. And then it stopped. And then they did, they brought it back. And it's still going. And now, oh, this is creamy. So this is VS213 ATF. Now I can tell you straight off the bat that I already don't like it. And I'm sorry. Sorry to anyone who likes the 213. Patrick Troughton, that's the one. Good old Patrick Troughton. He was good. I did enjoy his stuff. I think they introduced the Cybermen during the Troughton time, didn't they? I think. So yeah, the reason why I don't like this is because I can't see through it. It's opaque. And I don't like that. Oh man, it stinks too. Let's get this thing in. Oh my goodness. Very strong smell. Very strong. I've tried this one before. I got a free sample of this once. When I ordered some Flux and they said, oh, you got to try this as a new one, it's all great, blah, 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 blah. And I have definitely tried it before. I recognise the smell. So, okay, it's working fine as a Flux, but I just don't like the fact that it's opaque. So let's use it now for putting the chip on. It hangs around on the board, I will say that. Has it got UV trace in it? Let's have a look. Switch on the UV light. Switch on the UV light. Roxanne. You don't have to put on the UV light. Yeah, it's sort of glowing. Yeah, it's glowing. Yeah, you can't see it. The UV light's too far away. What if I did this? Okay, yeah, there we go. So if I switch the UV light off, yeah, that's off, and then on. So it definitely has UV trace on it. So that's cool. Check out Nick Scovell as Doctor Who. Power of the Daleks. How old is that? Is it a really ancient one? Looks like the chip quick flux I got. Is the chip quick flux you got SMD 4300TF10? One episode with a mad Doctor Who friend. Yeah, I mean, look, you kind of like Doctor Who, you don't. I remember reading this thing. Someone, I think it might have been a post on Facebook or something like that, said, oh, you know, I've just got a new girlfriend and I want to get her into Doctor Who. What episode should I show her? And I'm sort of thinking, oh, dude, I don't know how well this is going to work out for you. Maybe don't show her any. If you want to keep her, that is. Ugh. 2012, but extremely good. Huh. There was a bit of an uproar with Doctor Who because they actually changed Doctor Who into a woman. Now, I've got no issue with that, changing Doctor Who into a woman. I think totally unnecessary because in terms of the story, up until that point, there were male Time Lords and there were female Time Lords, and they didn't really, I don't think they ever, what do they call it, re-thingied into the other. But the biggest problem with the show wasn't her gender. The biggest problem with the show was their writing was just going to dog's doo-doo. The stories just weren't as good. For me, in the modern Doctor Who's, the best ones were the David Tennants. They were very entertaining, I thought. Okay, that's enough Doctor Who talk. I'm talking about something else before we start losing all the viewers. Hey, have I reminded everyone to
smash that like button?
Smash that like button. I saw a band on the weekend. Sort of. Well, it is a band, I guess. Not the weekend. Sorry, during the week. Wednesday night I did. A band called Solomeo. Now, people who may or may not know them probably don't know them unless you are maybe an Australian or a New Zealander or a Samoan. But they are essentially a band of, well, they're family. There's two brothers and a cousin. And they are, I think, born in Samoa but raised in New Zealand. And they are opera singers. All three of them are professional opera singers. They work individually as opera singers. But they get together as a group every now and again called Solomeo. Bit of a play on words because of obviously the song, Solomeo. But also Sole is, it's kind of Samoan for like friend, mate, buddy. And so... so anyhow, they what they do is they get together and they sing some what do you call them, some opera songs, but they also sing other songs, and they get together and do these absolutely amazing harmonies, spectacular stuff. So just fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. And I don't like opera at all. I mean, I really don't like opera. But watching these guys perform was just fantastic. Okay, so I've made my decision about the V13. Don't like the smell very much, and I don't like the fact that it's opaque, but it does seem to work really well as a flux. It hangs on the board really well. I don't know how well it cleans off, I'll have to check, but it doesn't just burn away. I mean, it stayed on the board quite well. So that's what I would say about the 213. This is a precursor to my Flux review video, which I will be doing. I am even planning to collab with Mr. Moth, as he also shares a very similar kind of interest in Flux and Flux sort of characteristics and capabilities and etc., 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 etc. Anyone watch Star Trek Discovery? No, I haven't watched anything Star Trek in a long time. In a long time. I submitted my first review to Rotten Tomatoes today. I've never done that before, but there was a movie that was so bad I felt like it needed one. So I jumped onto Rotten Tomatoes and I wrote a review for Terror on the Prairie, which I believe to be one of the worst films ever made. Okay, going to try this now. God, it's so close. It is so close. It is getting through stuff and then stopping. I can just tell. I can tell. It's accessing the ROMs and everything. If you don't like opera or classical but like classic rock, check into Trans-Siberian Orchestra. The name rings a bell. I've got a sneaking suspicion that we're going to replace all these RAM chips and it's still not going to work. I've just got that feeling. But tonight's gonna be a good night. Toot, 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 toot. Oh. What did I watch? I watched something that was really fun the other day, though. I watched Bullet Train. I laughed all the way through that. Really enjoyed it. I also watched the Netflix series of Dharma. I don't know if anyone else watched that. You've seen some of the Bruce Willis movies released on Netflix. They are pretty bad. Yeah, I don't think Bruce Willis cares anymore. I don't think he really cares about his performance or his acting or anything like that. I think he just wants to keep making money. I think if he had his way, he would just be doing nothing. But I suspect he's probably got an expensive lifestyle. Need the money. If you doubt the RAM bad, what about the parts? What about the parts that access it? Yeah, well, that's the next thing, is to start looking into those, and that will involve me opening up a schematic, unfortunately. But we'll change all the RAM. We've done 4. There's only 4 more to go. So, and of course, some of those traces were a little bit iffy. So you know, an i7 15-inch MacBook Pro for $20. That's awesome. Can you tell me what year model that was, please, DJ Craze? Yeah, I don't know if anyone else watched the Dharma series on Netflix. I'm curious to see what everyone else thought of it. Started well. That 213 really does smell. That's the Amtech 213. For $20, any laptop is great, except for if it's a 2011 15-inch or 17-inch. Now, of course, having said that, there are ways to sort out the problems they have with the GPU, but yeah, 2011, we know, GPU bad. So if someone had it these days, if someone was selling a 2011 like 15 inch, I don't think I'd be paying, yeah, 20 bucks. I'd pay 20 bucks, yeah, for even just for bits. A lot of the bits are interchangeable with a 2012, so if you, for example, get a 2012 with problems, you can always got it for parts. Yep. Broken glass on the screen. I have replaced it. Good. Okay, so hang on. 2012. Oh, 2012 is a great year. 2012 was the best. An i7 2012 it's a 15 inch. You said 17 inch. No, i7 15 inch. Yeah, that is a great one. That's my main laptop. My main laptop, the one that I use every day, is an i7 2012 15 inch. And I have I've installed OpenCore and I have Monterey running on it, and it runs like a cracker. It's great. It's fantastic. Monterey has a few problems, but that's not the computer's fault. With the benefit of hindsight, I probably would have done Big Sur, but anyhow, Monterey's on it. It's working fine. So yeah, good one. And I'm pretty sure the 2011 LCD will work on a 2012 model. Don't quote me on that. I think it does. And if that's the case, then you can get hold of a 2011 with a dead GPU and potentially take the screen from it. So, yeah. Or just take the logic board out. I know the logic board definitely swaps over because I've done it. I've put, oh no, that's 2010-11. I put a 2010 into a 2011, not sure about the 2012. Now I'm confusing myself and everyone else. So, yeah, just be careful listening to what I have to say. Right, let's try this one here. This one is a lovely white colour. Does this one have UV tracer in it? Going to switch him on. Bing. No UV trace in this one. This one is not glowing under the UV. Like that. No way, sorry, no siree. No. All right. Okay, UV goes back off because I don't want a suntan. 2012 Retina or non-Retina? Yeah, the Retina displays are actually really expensive to replace, unfortunately. Non-Retina. Yeah, well, that's a good thing because then if you just buy a replacement display for it for not too much money, if you don't have one. But I think you said you already did have one, so forget I said that. Oh, okay, so this one is more crystally. It's not quite as silky smooth as the other one. This one looks like it's got like a texture as it comes out. And we'll put a little bit of solder on there. And we'll sample the smell. Oh, this one smells quite chemically. This one smells unlike any of the others. Oh, interesting. So this one, just a reminder, is 4300 LF TF. TF just stands for Tacky Flux. So, yeah, God, what does it smell like? It smells like some sort of food. Some sort of vinegary type food. I don't know. I mean, it's fluxing quite well. It's hanging onto the board okay. I could tolerate the smell. It's not as nice as some of the others, but I could tolerate it. He says as he starts to gag. Now, of course, I don't have my fume extractor, but that's because I'm, in the name of science, I am taking in these fumes for your benefit. For your benefit. Let's get another chip. Should we just replace two at once? Let's do that. Getting lazy. What's an Ultrabook? How do you find the 2019? Greg? I'm thinking about getting a 2019 for my wife. It's 2019 is not butterfly, is it? They went back to scissor keys for the 2019, I think. It's very smoky, this Flux. Very smoky. Something is smoky. Hello, pigeon. Why is this smoking? Did I get something on here that's smoking? This was just pouring out smoke before. It's still smoking. Where's the smoke going from? I mean, did I get something on there that's smoking? No, never mind. Okay. Which Flux I got? It's the Chip Quick NC191 30cc. Yeah, okay. I don't know that one, so I'm afraid I don't know the NC191. I've got two that I do know. One is here on the floor. Is that it on the floor? Or is that... No, that's a different Flux on the floor. Oh. Go away! Far out. Think you can land on my Mac Classic over there with a broken CRT. No, this is Interflux, this one. I do have a Chip Quick somewhere on this desk, but don't ask me where. All right, so let's get this stinky 4300 again. All right, I'm really not sure about this 4300. Rudy, were you here before and then left and then came back again? It feels like that. Using a 2019 right now, love it. Yeah. Ribbon bar thing that I still haven't found a use for. You're talking about this. Hang on, hang on. You're talking about this. You're talking about this. It's a touch bar. If you're wondering why I'm wearing a touch bar on a shirt, it's because I was given this shirt by Apple. And I don't care what's on it if I get a free shirt. Simple as that. Okay. I don't own a touch bar computer, so it seems kind of silly me wearing a touch bar shirt. But silly is good. I do have a PowerPC button or pin. I think there's a hair on here. I can smell hair burning. So I think there must be a hair on here. I don't know if it's mine or an animal's, you know. What? God, the pigeons are in here a lot today. It's probably because of the weather. It's been very, 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 very wet here. And I think that's made life difficult for all little animals. Finding food and shelter and all that sort of things and such and things. My watch has just said to me, off to a great start. And I know it's patronising me because I'm not off to a great start. I haven't done a walk today. My rings are so far away where they normally would be at this time. By this stage, I would have done 30 minutes worth of exercise, but I have not today. So when it says off to a great start, what it is actually saying is, oi, what's going on? Why haven't you been exercising, you lazy bastard? To which I would respond, I am live streaming. It is important. It is an important service to the community. So step back, man. Do that again. What did I do? I'm not sure. 30cc is the size of it. Yes, I figured that. I figured it was 30cc. I have steered away from the 30cc now. That's obviously cubic centimetres for people who may not necessarily know what a cc is. I would imagine you probably know what a cc is, even if you're in a non-metric country. But I found with the 30cc tubes, certainly with the Antex anyway, that you'd go to squeeze and you get a little bit of flux out, and then you put the thing down and it would just keep dripping out. And I find that that is far less, there's far less occurrence of that with the 10cc tubes. So I still need the same quantity, so I generally buy 3 tubes at a time. but I just buy the 10cc ones, not the 30cc ones. And that. And so used to 30cc, now I 10. Okay, 2 chips off. That's all of the RAM chips off this one. So if I need more, I'll have to go to this second board here. Having said that, a lot of these RAM chips are probably fine. Do you have a backup recommendation for Goodwick? No, I don't. I did try another brand of wick once and it was rubbish. Because I get this, I did have a situation where I went to go buy some of this and my local electronics place didn't have any of the 2mm stuff, but they did have some 3mm stuff, so I just bought that to keep me going in the meantime. But no, I don't have a recommendation. Sorry about that. CCs are corn chips, aren't they? Yes, they are indeed. Mind you, I'm more of a Doritos fan than CCs. You'll definitely see me eating Doritos, not CCs. Have I said hello to Reed Reinfeld? If I haven't, hello. Oh, off to a great start. Get off your lazy ass. Yes, that's right. Yes. Come on, get up. So, right. Continue. I'm thinking about getting a new Apple Watch. I was thinking of getting 3 things. Or not 3 things, one of 3 things. And I think I've decided what I'm going to get, but I was going to get an Apple Watch. And I thought, no, you know what, this one is still going fine. This is the Series 3 and it's still working fine. So then I thought, I might get a bigger TV. I've got a 55 inch, might get a 65 inch, something like that. I thought, yeah, should get that. Then I decided, nah. You know what I really want? I want a new camera, new video camera. My old video camera, it's this one up here. I'm going to change views so you can see, side view. This camera here, hello. This camera here probably needs some replacing. What I have here is it's a Panasonic semi-professional, so it's got XLR inputs and, you know, I mean, it's a pretty decent sized camera. Lots and lots of customizable controls. You know, it's got focus ring and zoom ring and all that sort of stuff. It's 1080p, and I bought it in the early days of 1080p, and it is really starting to show its age. It's got quite a small sensor, so it's not very good in low light. You can kind of see around here around my belly. It's a bit grainy. You probably can't actually, because by the time it's getting broadcast by YouTube, you probably can't see any of the grain at all. And one of the things I really like about this is you can synchronize the shutter speed. So if I'm shooting CRTs, I can actually synchronize it down to like 0.1 of a second so that it perfectly matches with the refresh rate of the screen. So if I'm filming a big old CRT, I can just get it so that there are no lines on it or waves or anything like that. And that's why I love this camera. And there are various other reasons I like it as well. But it's just starting to get a bit long in the tooth and it's only 1080p. So I'm thinking about getting a 4K. I will probably lose that shutter synchronization because they don't do that much with the cameras anymore. They do it, but they don't do it much with the cameras because why do you need to sync with a CRT? Who makes CRTs anymore? You know? So, yeah. Guy Wheat's digital multimeter. Does indeed. I haven't shilled that in a while. I should do that. Seems to have stopped stocking it in a 3-pack. Oh. Very old tech to go to sleep. I'll continue to watch in the morning. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Hugh. If you don't get back to it, I quite understand. Watching live streams afterwards, I appreciate, can be quite boring. But thank you very much for joining. As you can see, I've still got a fair bit of day left here in this part of the world. I've got to do a bit of tidying because I've got someone popping in this afternoon. to drop off some 400k floppy drives for servicing. And I will probably live stream at least one of them. They are not fun to do. Anyone here who has serviced a 400k drive? They basically, they're pretty much all just solid seized. That's just, well, it wasn't soldered very well, was it? That wasn't soldered very well. It's got a bridge on it. And you just have to get all of the grease off them. And then sometimes they need recapping as well. They've got little caps on them and stuff. So I've got the person who's sending me 2, and they want to get 1 working. So in theory, you know, use the 2. If there's problems, hopefully I'll be able to build 1 working one from the 2. I am hopeful that I'll be able to get them both working. But we'll see. I did a 400k service for this person, and it works. And it's in a Macintosh 128k. But they also want to have a 400k drive in their Lisa. And so I've got to get a 400k sorted for that. Lisa 2, I should say. It's not actually a Lisa. I've actually got a twiggy bezel here at the moment. I get to touch all these things. They're not mine, but oh man, these bloody pigeons! What? There's no food anywhere. What do you want? You just want to come say hello? Are you cold? You look cold. Hello? So I was just talking to a pigeon then. I don't understand what this pigeon is doing. But we do end up with some kind of not right pigeons around here. I suspect they're probably inbreeding because they all hang around here for the same food source, which is the leftover chicken food. So I suspect there's probably a bit of inbreeding going on. All right. Just bought a Macintosh 2 that has a 2FX board hiding inside it. That is what we're all looking out for. Hello there to you, Adam. That is the holy grail, isn't it? Let's face it, because quite a lot of 2s were upgraded to 2FXs because they're just a drop-in board. The 2X 2FX box, so you can just drop them in and out of each other because they've got the holes line up and everything. And yeah, that's what everyone wants. That is what we're all, wrong one, scope view. That's what we're all after. You just you get a Macintosh 2 and then you find a 2FX board in it. What's the state of the board there, Adam? Is it any trace damage? Anything broken? Battery leakage? Just checking I haven't accidentally done a bridge here. I do that sometimes. I do the bridge. Hello? You're a weird pigeon. You know that? Oh yeah. Oh, I'm just, you know, don't freak out, but you're just a weird pigeon. Has 2 intact Tediran bats and possible light cap leakage. Okay, light cap leakage is fine. We can cope with light cap leakage. I'm just getting some of this flux off, just in case there's any gunk that's actually stopping this from booting. Let's get ourselves a paper towel. Special anti-static paper towel. Nobody believes that. Where's my spray? I've lost my spray. I probably knocked it over. Ah, never mind. Okay. Squirt, 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 squirt. Okay. At least he's not talking to a pigeon. I can't help myself. I talk to animals all the time. Hello to anyone who has just joined. Feel free to jump into the chat and say hello. If you are someone who is a recent subscriber of my channel, and you've subscribed because you've seen some of my other videos, like ultrasonic or soldering videos, this is one of the other things that I do, which is live streams of me trying to repair vintage Macintoshes. And today we are looking at a Macintosh, what is it? It's a 575. And it is misbehaving. It has been recapped, has new capacitors, so the old have been replaced with the new, and it's been giving me a sad Mac chime, which is generally what these sorts of computers do when there is a problem with the RAM. And this does have some onboard RAM, and it is possible. So I've now replaced 6 of the 8 RAM chips. And it is behaving differently to how it did before, but it's still misbehaving. So we're hoping that one day, just at one moment, I'll replace a particular chip and it'll just start magically working. That is what we're hoping for. Can't guarantee it's what's going to happen though. Okay, board goes in, and then we change cameras so that we can see it a little bit better. I'm going to check out the fat gut. Okie dokie. Oops. I'm starting to get hungry. It's getting around lunchtime. What am I going to have for lunch today? I could make myself a sandwich. Got some nice fresh bread up there, have a sandwich. Or I could just get lazy and go and get myself some KFC. Okay, we ready? We're going to try it out now. We've got the power on, switched on. Keyboard plugged in, press the power button. Oh God, we're so close. It's killing me. I am really starting to think that there is another problem. I very soon will have replaced every single RAM chip, and then we can move on, and then we can say, get a kebab, you know what? You know what? There's a place up the road that makes a beautiful kebab. Very tempting, very tempting. I'm actually very close to lots and lots of naughty food around here, so. But I should just make myself a sandwich. I've got bread. I've got things to stick on the sandwich. Got a leftover lamb from last night's dinner. I could chop that up, put it on there with a bit of barbecue sauce. Yeah. No, I made me naughty, don't worry. It was just me. And of course, my wife and I are terrible at that, you know. I mean, one of us might be like, I'm going to have some healthy lunch today. And you go, yeah, cool. Do you want some Macca's for lunch? Ooh, yeah. Macca's is what Australians call McDonald's. Just in case anyone wasn't aware of that. In terms of the fast food chains out here, we don't have as many as the US have. We have McDonald's, we have KFC, we have Hungry Jack's, which is essentially Burger King. They have Whoppers and whatnot. There's a long story as to why it's called Hungry Jack's in this country and not Burger King. What else? We're getting Wendy's next year. Now, apparently Wendy's did try here once and it didn't go so well, but they're gonna try again next year. Why not have a salad? Why have a salad? I don't mind a salad, but for me a salad is an accoutrement. It is something to accompany a meal. You have a meal and then you have a salad with it. I'm not really good on just salads by themselves. Last 2 chips coming off now. World is ending kind of food salad. Look, if I had to go around and kill animals to eat myself, I'd probably end up eating a lot of salads and eggs, because I'm not the sort of person. I haven't been raised in an environment where I'm used to slaughtering animals. You know, I'm fine with buying slaughtered animals from a shop, but yeah, I don't think I'd be very good at it if I had to do it myself. So Jay, have you been watching as I've been trying all these different fluxes today? Or did you disappear and then you're coming back again? Because I'm actually trying some different fluxes here and providing some sort of commentary on them. This one here that I have at the moment, it's got quite a nice colour. This is called 4300 LF. It is also an Amtech, and it's nice and clear, so you can see through it, which is great. Doesn't seem to burn away too badly. It does have a stench though. I mean, it's really chemically. Yeah, it's not as bad as some that I've tried. Some I've tried that have just the most revolting, pungent smell. This one ain't too bad, but it is chemically. It's not as nice as the ASM, that's for sure. Cool, I'm glad. I haven't checked anything yet. Oh, you're probably talking to someone else. I missed what's going on with this board Bruce's working on. So this is an LC57. Pardon me, 5, and it is it has been recapped and it does the SAD Mac chime, and so it has some onboard RAM, so I've just been replacing the RAM one at a time and then 2 at a time, and now we're actually down to the last 2 RAM chips on the board. Now of course if it still doesn't work after this, it ain't the RAM. But the interesting thing is, since I swapped out I think the 2nd chip, I think this one here, this guy here, this little fella here. What is he? U13, is that him? U10, U13, U14. What happened to 11 and 12? Huh? Since I've changed this one, its behaviour changed. It stopped SAD Mac chiming. I don't know. It stopped the SAD Mac chiming there. So it pops. Anyone who's used to working with any of these computers, when you press the soft power button, you hear a pop come from the speaker just before the chime. We're getting the pop, not the chime. So what that tells me is that the amplifier works. And to some extent, it probably means the ROM works as well, because it's going through that sort of startup process. And the fact that SAD Mac, you won't get a SAD Mac chime if the ROM doesn't work. But as I say, SAD Mac chime gone away. Where's he gone? He's gone. SAD Mac gone. Oh man, this smells. It kind of smells a little bit like bad breath. Not like... Maybe someone breathing on you after eating a Chinese meal. That's what I'm sort of likening it to. So you're still getting a little bit of a waft of that meal in the breath. Whew. Zone 1. Yes. Well, if it's any consolation, Francois, it's not actually 4 a.m. It's actually 1 p.m. If it makes you feel any better, you can sort of just say to whoever you're speaking to, no, I'm working on Australian time today. Well, not just Australian time, Sydney time. We do have quite a few different time zones in this place because it's a bloody big country. Do I want to clean it? I don't know. Okay, so we're going to have to grab some RAM off my second donor board here. Just like that. Here's donor board number 2. I know it's a donor because it's got it written here. D, A, N, A, R. Bigfoot's butt crack. It smells like hobo. So Trina's finished, okay, no worries. Once again, I send out my apologies to Trina if Trina happens to end up joining or word gets back to Trina. I apologise for streaming at the same time as you. It was not intentional. As is often the case with live streaming, I have a very limited window in order to do it. And so yeah, I do end up streaming it. I've streamed at the same time as Joe, at the same time as Ron. I'm just basically an asshole by the sounds of it. Okay. 40 viewers, 31 likes, 9 of you are slacking. Yeah, what the hey, man? How about time for a bit of...
Smash that like button.
It's getting a little bit tired now, don't you think? I mean, that smash that like, I probably need to redo it because that smash that like button, I did that a long time ago. And, ooh, I wonder if that's the cause of a problem. It's interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't even see that there, but there was a piece of metal that seemed to kind of be stuck here. It could have been bridging here. Yeah, you're not looking at the scope view. It could have been bridging here. Maybe. It could have just been stuck on by Flux, so it may not be touching anything metal, but anyhow, doesn't matter. Yeah, so I did that, smash that like button thing. There is a story behind smash that like button, which I'll tell in just a moment. And of course now it's getting used all over the shop. It gets used on the Mac Yak show, as well as on my own channel. Admittedly, the one on my channel I think is slightly better resolution, but because I did it. But essentially what happened is, I'm pretty sure it was Dana from Dana Doesn't Do Stuff. He we were joking around about YouTubers, you know, content creators, like say, hey, what's up guys, you know, that sort of thing, you know, and I'm pretty sure it was Dana said it. He said, you know, yeah, don't forget to smash that like button. And then I just took the ball and ran with it. Just made me laugh. Dana makes me laugh. Where are you, Dana? Where is Dana? Why isn't Dana here? Always an excuse with that guy. New stuff happening in the world of Zulu SCSI, by the way. I know there are a lot of people that are very down on Zulu SCSI, and that's fine. You're allowed to be, and you may have very logical and rational reasons for feeling that way. But a couple of things you need to remember about Zulu SCSI: it is probably one of the most compatible SCSI emulators out there. So if you're having some trouble with a different type of SCSI emulator that may not necessarily be working with the device you want it to, you may end up going down the Zulu SCSI path. There are some kind of nifty features on the Zulu SCSI. One of the things it does now is it does CD swapping. So if you're doing an installation from multiple CDs, you can stick all of those CD images onto the Zulu SCSI, and it will mount the first one, and then you eject it. And when you eject it, it automatically mounts the second one. And then when you eject that, it mounts the third one. And it just does that automatically. So that's kind of a nifty feature if you're doing large installations from CDs. Bye-bye, Pigeon. But a really interesting thing is there's a new type of Zulu SCSI that's out now called the RP2040. And that is because it now uses a Raspberry Pi CPU. And it's fast. So, and I think that one is going on sale. It's either on sale now or it's going on sale very, very soon. I have a few here at the moment. I think I have 2 or 3 of them. I need to sort of continue testing them, trying them out on different hardware and stuff like that, doing my bit. Has Zulu SCSI been tried on old PCs? Don't know. I honestly can't say. One of the main things that these old SCSI devices get used for, other than Macs of course, is usually samplers, audio samplers. There are quite a few different types of sampler out there that use SCSI. So, yeah. I do get quite a lot of people that contact me, you know, whether they're buying Blue SCSI or Zulu SCSI, and they might say, hey, does this work with a thingy sampler? And I'm like, I don't know. If it doesn't work, let me know and I'll give you your money back. You've got to give me the thing back though. I had one person that actually had Macs and audio samplers. So he got one and he contacted me. He said, this doesn't work with my audio sampler, so I'm going to use it on my Mac and then I'm going to buy a Zulu SCSI for my audio sampler. What else? Juicy Crumb. Has anyone... I met up with the Juicy Crumb creators on Friday. I did a video recently on a thing called the Juicy Crumb Dock Lite. If anyone has not seen it. It is a little drop-in board that allows you to turn a 2011 27-inch iMac into an external display. And it has now become my main display. It is so bloody good. The picture is just smashing. It's sharp, it is bright. So yeah, really cool thing. And because I had this 2011 27-inch iMac that I bought for $50 that worked perfectly, but I just wasn't using it. It was just sitting on the floor doing nothing. So I've put this thing in. I've turned it now into a beautiful QHD display, as Tim Cook would say, display, and now it's sitting on my desk as my main display. And just for anyone who's looking at the price on it, first of all, they have dropped the price on it, I believe, as an introductory early bird thing. But the other thing I should mention is that if you want to compare the price, compare it with a comparable monitor, because I have got it set up next to an expensive Samsung QHD display, and the Juicy Crumb 2011 iMac display absolutely craps on the other one. It is so much better, brighter, sharper, more vibrant. So yeah, make sure if you're comparing prices, compare apples with apples. Don't compare apples with oranges. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Right. Well, all the chips are replaced, so let's see what happens this time. It's probably not going to work, but let's try it anyway. Yeah. Ouchie. You turn iMac into $100, a $100 Thunderbolt display for only $300. iMac into a 100. Well, yeah, no, that's definitely not what you are doing at all. I can tell you, as I say, as someone who has used it, it is not just like going in and buying yourself a dirt cheap display. It is not like that at all. In the market for a product that turns my old iMac into a display, and that product is too high priced. Yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone. You know, there have been a lot of people that have said, "Oh no, it's too expensive." Yeah, it's fine. Go and buy your cheapie, and be content with it. Yes, the point that have been trying to make is simply that it's whatever the price is. I can't even remember what the price is, to be honest. I think it's higher. It's 180, 190, something like that. US. It's and in particular, if you get the iMac for nothing, you end up with a really, really good quality display for that price. All right, I'm going to press a button. 3, 2, 1. Same again. Rudy's off. Have to run. See you, Rudy. Thank you for joining. Apple 27-inch Thunderbolt display used the same label and they sell for $100. Really? Not in this part of the world. You can find the Apple 27-inch standalone displays cheaper. Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, definitely not in this part of the world. If you can, then yeah, by all means, go with them. Right, so all RAM chips have been replaced and we're still not working. There is one thing that does bother me though, and that is that it did change its behavior after I changed the second RAM chip. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that second one off and replace it with another one, just to be sure. Because that's what we're doing here. We're being sure. We're being thorough. Maybe I replaced a bad chip with another bad chip. Then, assuming, of course, that it's still not working, then we'll have to start looking at something else. And I'll start banging my head against the table. I'll be like, you know, sort of Rain Man when he didn't want to get on an airplane. Okay. Second chip off. I've got an empty 2FX case, but I think it would probably be a little bit expensive to ship over there. And besides, I do hope one day that it's not empty. So this is one that's already been replaced. We're going to replace it again, just to satisfy my satisfaction. Oh, God, I'm getting hungry. I'm getting so hungry. This is what ends up happening with these live streams. That's what ends up ending them, is my hunger. Gonna leave it hanging around for headbanging on the table. Fair enough. Okay, let's see if we can get this last one done again. And then at that stage, we have to start thinking about other things. I'm actually really frustrated that it doesn't say Mac chime anymore. Because at least then it was talking to me. Now it's not talking to me anymore. It's gone quiet. You'll get good money for the 2FX board if you decide to sell it. Why not just keep it in the 2 case? It's still a 2FX. Historically accurate. God, I'm telling you, this one smokes like you wouldn't believe. This is the 4300 I was talking about before. It smokes like something, nothing else. So I'm not sure 4300 is for me. I'm going to stop using it. Step away from the 4300. Flux analysis. Flux analysis. Oh God, that stinks. Yeah, no. 4300 is not for me. Okay. Let's bring the fume extractor back. I had it away because I did actually want to smell this stuff so that I could describe in vivid detail exactly what this stuff smells like. But I've already done that now. Can move on. No more inhalation. Excuse me. Yeah, well, if you've already got a 2FX, then by all means sell it. I mean, you will get good money for a 2FX board. A working 2FX board, if you can prove that it's a working 2FX board, you know, with sort of new batteries in there or whatever, yeah, will do well. I've actually got, I should put it together. If I have a little bit of time at the end of this, I'll do it. I've actually got some 2FX RAM, it just needs to be assembled. Courtesy of our good friend, Mr. Kai Robinson. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Okay. Alrighty then. Right, so we've replaced every chip, and then one of them I replaced. Replaced. Just check and make sure that I haven't damaged the board with all the in and outing. That does happen. Yep. And let's see if banging head on table is in order. It just hit 4 degrees C, so I should go chill in the garage for a bit. Wowzers! That is cold. 4 degrees C, far out. That's cold. That is real cold. And it's still only fall over there, isn't it? Autumn. Don't have a RAM tester. No, I do not. I should have one. But I don't. I do it the good old-fashioned way. By replacing it and then banging my head on the table. Okay. So, I've got power. I've got the logic board in there. I've got a keyboard here to try and power it on. Let's change camera views. That's a stupid camera view. There we go. Hello. Right, okay, 3, 2, 1. Same thing. So it's just giving me that pop. It's that pop just before it makes the chime. I'm going to stick a thing on it. Check and make sure we're getting power to the SCSI, which I'm pretty sure we are. And we go on, and we go power. Okay, so that's it's definitely powering the SCSI, so that's all good. Just going to leave it running and see if I see any flickery lights, like it's actually talking to the SCSI. Nothing on the screen, of course, but, you know, just cover all bases. Don't touch that. It's bad if you touch that. Uh, 6 degrees, wow, that's crazy. Crazy. For feeling so lonely. Yeah, nothing. So here are a couple of things that we do know about it. We do get that pop at the beginning. So the amplifier is working. That generally means the sound chip is working as well. If I was getting a SADMAC chime, but I'm no longer getting a SADMAC chime after replacing the RAM. Perplexing. If I press down Control Apple and the power button, which is the reset, I can... Well, I can't anymore, but I used to hear a pop. No, it's messing with me. It's toying with me. It's toying with my brain. so wants to start. Do I have any branded things? No, I don't. I have started chucking in some little badges like this, in with some of the sales. So when people are buying blue scuzzies, I kind of stick a few of those in. But yeah, I haven't really. Probably 3D print some things, maybe. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Yes, I have. I have indeed. Many times. It's not restarting now anymore either. I'm really starting to get perplexed. You know what's this is gonna end up having to be? It's gonna have to be one of those proper diagnostic jobbies where I sit there with the schematic and then try and find the problem. I hate those. I generally don't live stream them because it just gets too boring. I spend a lot of time just sitting in silence when I'm doing that sort of stuff, thinking about things and stuff, and so it's just not really the most entertaining thing to watch. So yeah, I don't really, when a board gets to this stage, I'll typically move to the next step and not live stream it. I just want to have a little look around a couple of problem areas with these. And there were some pretty ugly looking traces. I mean, they didn't look like they were necessarily broken, but you never know. Oh, you're not looking at no, scope view. I'm going to start with a C64. Cool. Bought one in the 80s and loved it and miss having one. Understandable. I was the same with my first computer. My first computer was a VZ200, Dick Smith VZ200, which is the same as a Laser 200. And yeah, I went and acquired one. Yeah, I definitely don't like the smell of that flux. It's still in my nostrils. Doo-doo-doo. Ba-dee-ba-boo-ba-bow. Something just occurred to me. This is the weirdest looking RAM sim I've ever seen. What if this is the problem? Let's get rid of the VRAM. Let's get rid of the RAM. And let's just test it with the onboard RAM, which I should have been doing all along. But I'm some sort of weird muppet that didn't even think of that while he's doing all that testing and spending all that time putting the board in and out and checking it. At no stage did my pea-brain realize that I had this stupid looking RAM sim in here that I don't even know if it works. So let's test it again just with the onboard RAM. Excuse me. Oh. You know, it'd be really great if I had some sort of, well, it'd be great if I had space that I could keep this set up at the same time as doing the work. But if I didn't have that, it'd be cool if I could have this on like some little like dumb waiter type thing that I could just lower down from the ceiling and then do the test and then push him back up again. That'd be awesome. I don't have that. Okay, bare board. Not using the VRAM sims, not using the RAM sim. Now, keeping in mind, of course, these do have onboard RAM and VRAM. So I don't actually need these things to test. Now, if it works, then we can pretty much say that it's that silly RAM sim. But we'll just see what happens first. All right, you ready? Steady. Oh, hang on. Camera view. Gotta have the side view. Can't be staring at blurry microscope view for this bit. Okay, ready, steady, go. exactly the same. So what are we looking at? Looking at this. See it? See it? Look at that. So anyhow, it was just a thought. It was a thought that it could have been the RAM that was in the board, but it wasn't. So. I think I'm having a lot of luck lately. It's I guess it's just because no one sends me the easy stuff anymore. Oh, it was blurry. Yes, you were actually looking at. I can tell you exactly what you were looking at. You were looking at. You're looking at a piece of plastic covering a multimeter. There you go. Okay, let's get this back down here out of the way. Have a hernia in the process. And then I will have a quick assessment of how long I've been streaming for. 2 hours and 21 minutes. You know what? I think that might be enough. Yeah. Realised the other day that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colour classic boards here at the moment. Some of them might be mine, but anyhow, there's a lot of colour classic boards. So anyhow, what have we managed to establish? We've managed to establish that it's probably not the RAM, because I've replaced the RAM and it's still not working. But what really perplexes me is that it's actually worse than it was before, and that I did not expect. I expected it to stay the same or work. I didn't expect us to be in a situation where we actually lost the SAD MAC chime. And that part of the whole puzzle is really confusing me. What to do next? I don't know. Wash the RAM with a toothbrush. You know what? I mean, ultrasonic clean's probably not a bad idea. Has been cleaned, but of course I got a lot of gunk on this doing this RAM replacement. So ultrasonic clean could just make it magically start working again. For this I will use the little ultrasonic cleaner, not the great big one, mainly because this one uses a lot more power, and this one's just far more efficient for the little boards like that. So headbanging on table, that's right, I was going to do that, wasn't I? I'm not sure I can now. It's not that I don't want to, I think it's a flexibility issue. Not to worry. So, yeah, where am I going to go next with that one? As someone did point out, I don't have a RAM tester, and that RAM was taken off a donor board. There is always the possibility that some of the RAM that I brought across from the other board is problematic. So the stubbornness in me, and given the fact that I am very lazy when it comes to diagnosis, I will always try the swap it over and try before I sit there and start pulling out the multimeter or the oscilloscope and start going in and doing really heavy diagnostic stuff. So the laziness in me will probably actually go and replace those chips again. So, one at a time with this other donor board chip, and just see whether, you know, one of those replacement chips was actually bad. If I go through the whole process twice and it still doesn't work, then we can rule out the RAM. Then I guess the next thing I need to do is start looking at the schematic and seeing what other parts of this board are linked in with the RAM. You know, and if there's, like, I don't know, multiplexes or something like that. But I have to look at the schematic for that. 5 external blue SCSI units with the blue pills backwards tonight. Oh no! I hate that. You know, and you know why I hate that? I'll tell you, like, one of the things that I find really annoys me about it. So the little blue pills, the holes here are really small. They're small in comparison to the size of the pin that goes through it. So there's not much air space between the pin and the hole. So when you fill it with solder, if you need to desolder that, it is a nightmare getting the solder out because it's such a tight hole and just little tiny bits of solder get in there, whether you use wick, whether you use a desoldering machine. And I find often, not always, but often, if I do have to take one of these off, they get wrecked in the process. So easy, you can call it easy if you want. I'm not calling that easy at all. I'm saying that when these go on the wrong way, I hate having to do that. Now, I've only done it once because I am so careful nowadays. But yeah, not fun, not fun. Easier to desolder on the PCB side, not the blue pill side. Yep, fair enough. Okay. I built one of my blue scuzzies with a socket. Oh yes, of course, yes. Socket, yes, like as in one of them skis. But look at that. Look at that. Yes, because I don't sell them with a socket because it's an additional cost. It's an additional unnecessary cost. They come with the headers, so I just use the headers that come with them. I make virtually nothing on selling blue scuzzies. Pennies. So you get what you get as far as I'm concerned. I'm mainly selling them as a service to people in Australian vintage computer collectors. That's the main thing, making it available to them, making it easier. I am going to be doing a video on the blue scuzzy soon, so look out for that one. It's a little bit different to the other blue scuzzy videos that people have done up until this point, but I'm not telling anyone what it is because someone might steal my idea. Looking at you, Joe, you blue scuzzy expert, you. I don't want you taking my blue scuzzy ideas. Just keeping up with the chat here. I have actually had quite a large Mac Repair Phoenix. Hello, I don't think I've said hello to you. Will there be a part 3 of the giant ultrasonic video? There already is. So if you go onto my channel and look at featured videos, you will find the most recent one there, which is called Ultrasonic Cleaner Follow-Up. That is my second follow-up or third video on the cleaner behind me. And what is important about that video is this thing now is reliable. And I've got to share this cool thing for anyone who hasn't watched the video. Check this out. Look at this little guy here. Upside down. Look at this little guy here. Actually, that view is terrible. Let's try the top view. There we go. That's better. Look at it. Look it. That is my little timer for the ultrasonic cleaner that I got set up here. So I can say this is done with an Arduino. First time ever using an Arduino, and I have to say I quite like it. I'm not a huge fan of C, but you know, I've programmed in it before, so it's, you know, it is what it is. And so I've got temperature monitors for each of the ultrasonic drivers. So that's their current temperature right now, 15, 15, 15 and 16 degrees. And that's obviously, it's quite cold in there at the moment because it's cold here. And then I can say how long I want the ultrasonic cleaner to go for. I can say I go for 2 minutes, and then I can press the on button. Now there is a delay between pressing the on and the off button. I'm sure you may have noticed there's like a half-second delay. It's the way I've written the software on this, and I'm going to probably change it. Yeah, I'm going to probably change the software so that there isn't that delay. But anyhow, and then of course I've built in a fail-safe. This is what this 40, 50, 60, 70 are for. This is the temperature I set, which is the fail-safe point. So if for some reason, let's just say one of the transducers falls off the tank. Well, once it does that, it actually starts generating a huge amount of heat, and it starts consuming more electricity, and it makes the driver get hot. So if one of these hot drivers suddenly starts shooting up in temperature, going up and higher, if it reaches a threshold point, I can set this threshold point, say at 50 degrees Celsius. If it hits 50 degrees Celsius, it just turns the whole cleaner off. shuts it down. So it is a Mega. It's a Mega 2560. I went with this one for a very good reason, and I'm actually doing a video on this build. So I'm writing the script on it at the moment. So this device here that I made, programming at the touchscreen, the relay that it's using for switching the thing off and on, the temperature sensors that I'm using, because I didn't go with like the standard Arduino temperature sensor. I actually bought I bought like little transistors. So I've got one here floating around somewhere. Yeah, I bought these little, I think it's LM335Z, something like that. It's just a little transistor there. You connect 2 wires to it, and this is a little temperature sensor. So I use those to save space. So they're just attached to the ended wires and in there, and then they feed back into here. So that's these little 4 pins here. Now, the reason why I ended up going with the Mega was because I got a Duo. The Duo seemed to be the perfect size, but the problem is with the Duo, the touch screen, this LCD touch screen, TFT or whatever it's called, it uses all of the analog inputs. There are 5 analog inputs on a Duo, and the screen uses all 5. So you have a screen on it, you have no sensors. So I had to go with the Mega. The Mega uses 5 of the analog inputs for the screen, and then it gives me a whole stack left over. This one's got heaps. So good night, Greg. Thank you for joining. So anyhow, the main thing with the follow-up video on the ultrasonic cleaner is getting those transducers stuck to the tank, and I have now found a way of doing that. That means they are on there for good. They are not coming off. The only way you would get them off is by literally, you could probably cut them off with an angle grinder, or you could destroy the tank in the process of removing it. So they are on there now, and that is one of the main issues. So now that that has been resolved, I'm feeling very, very happy. What else can I tell you? I do actually have another ultrasonic cleaner video planned, but I have to try and talk the wife into it. I have a plan which might have some significant impact on the household, and so I just got to talk someone into it. Anyhow, Joe, watching you fix my 2CI board a few weeks ago, the one you described as so freaking clean. You could see the case on the keyboard. Yes, actually. So it just got cleaned the other day. It's behind me, so I'll get that going back to you. It is, so yeah, it's obviously been recapped and now has been ultrasonically cleaned. I still haven't recapped the cache card though. I'm pretty sure you sent me the cache card as well. So I've got to do that. That's going to be going back to you with electrolytic capacitors, but they are hybrid electrolytic capacitors. They are not the leaky type. So just letting you know that. So yeah, that one's all looking good. I'll get that going back to you as soon as possible. That was actually, believe it or not, that was the first board that got cleaned in this cleaner since I did all the upgrades to it. Oh, look at this, Charlie. Hello, thank you very much for the super chat. Awesome videos and streams. Thank you very much. So anyhow, that was me taking a really long time to answer the question, is there going to be a third video? Yes, there is a third video out, ready to watch now if you haven't seen it. And there is even potentially a fourth video coming as well, and that will be building a new cleaner. So anyhow, ordered 10 more PRAM batteries. I used up my stash. Yes, I buy them in blocks of 10 as well. There's actually a place that sells them a few suburbs away from me. They're kind of someone that they sell batteries out of their garage, and so I can actually just order them in there and go and pick them up. So it's quite handy. And yeah, I just buy them in packs of 10 each time. Link your ultrasonic to your phone. You know the funniest thing about ultrasonic cleaners, that if you've not owned one before, it's a bizarre thing, because they are in this incredibly high frequency. it messes with Siri like you wouldn't believe. And so if I'm sitting here working, and in particular if my watch is awake, ultrasonic cleaner's going, and then my watch just starts going off, and it's just Siri going, I can't find, I've checked for, I've looked on the web for, I can't find, I've checked for, I've checked for, and it just, yeah, I don't know what you're saying. You know, this sort of stuff, it just goes on and on and on and on and on while the ultrasonic is on. It actually gets really tedious. The ultrasonic waves, sounds, the frequency, whatever, obviously just, Siri thinks it's talking, someone's trying to talk to it, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Anyhow, just so those of us who don't know, can you talk about the Zulu SCSI? Certainly can. I should have actually brought some samples down here. I've got a few up in the office at the moment. So the Zulu SCSI is... So, essentially, I'll just tell you where we've gone with SCSI to SD, first of all. Thanks again, Charlie. I'm now going to take this off the screen. SCSI to SD. I think probably the first, if not one of the first, of the SCSI emulators, invented by a guy in Queensland, here in Australia. His name's just disappeared from my brain, but never mind. Michael McMaster. There you go. So he made this, and he originally made it all completely open source. There was version 3 and version 4 and whatnot. And then eventually sort of commercialized it, made it so that the code is still open source, but the hardware is not. When I say open source, what's the word? There's actually, there's a term for the license. It's on the GNU license, I think that's it. So you can use it, but you just have to make sure you publish any changes that you make to it. And so that's, you know, that then got commercialized, and then a lot of that ended up getting sold to a company called Inertial Computing, or Rabbit Hole Computing as they're also known. And so they sort of then owned the ability to then sell SCSI to SDs and make money from it. Because so they bought that off Michael McMaster. Now, the SCSI to SD uses a particular type of chip. I've got one here actually. It might work, I'm not sure. But they use a particular type of chip of the brain. So it's a little thing called a PSOC, Programmable System on a Chip. So this is essentially everything inside there. It is RAM, it is storage, it is CPU, it's everything. It's the whole thing on that there. And basically what happened during the chip shortage, these became unavailable. Literally the guy who makes the SCSI to SDs bought every single one left in order to get keep up with his quantity of SCSI to SDs. And then the company that make these, I think they've been going through some changes, it got bought out by someone or something. They had lead time of like years and years, because they're still not available. I mean, they've reached a point where they were supposed to have new stock, and they still don't have new stock. So I don't know what's going on there. It's called Cypress. That's right, a company called Cypress. So anyhow, these chips were unavailable, just gone. Can't get them. So that presented a massive issue with actually making SCSI to SDs. Now, in the meantime, Blue SCSI, which is based on the ArduSCSI or something, I think it's called. ArduSCSI, I think that's what it's called. Which uses sort of like kind of like an Arduino type CPU, and allows you to set up a SCSI emulator with that. That, of course, got turned into the Blue SCSI by Eric Helgeson. And, you know, fantastic little device. And the most important thing about it is you can build these just from a kit, and you can build them using a Blue Pill, which, you know, they're still reasonably priced. I'm still picking them up for only a few dollars each, so that's quite good. Then, because of the shortage of these chips, the guys from Rabbit Hole Computing then made Zulu SCSI, which works in a very similar way to Blue SCSI. It's all essentially their own code, but it uses the same disk image thing. Now there has been turmoil between these two providers, okay? So I'm not going to try and hide that, but at the end of the day, these are not matters that I am involved in. I am essentially selling these products to people, and that's all I really care about. All I really care about is people being able to get what they want to buy. But the Zulu SCSI works similarly to the Blue SCSI in that it has disk images that you place on an SD card, rather than it being like the SCSI to SD was like a full-on emulator where when you put an SD card in there, you had to format it on the device. You had to format it in that format, and if you then took the SD card out and put it in your modern computer, it has no idea what to do with it because it's formatted in an old Apple HFS format. So yes, that's right, the Blue SCSI. It's Ardscasino, is that how I'm supposed to say it? So yeah, but what has happened with the Zulu SCSI is there have been a few, because it's not a little kit thing. It's a assembled piece of consumer electronics, with a designed PCB and the whole thing. It is very fast. So the Zulu SCSI is a very fast device. So again, it uses the disk images, has the convenience of the disk images, but it's a very, very fast emulator. So that's one of the things it has in its advantage. And the other thing is that because it is built on top of this original SCSI to SD code, which is very mature, it's a very, very compatible device. The Zulu SCSI works in all sorts of devices. It works in whole, audio samplers, and it works in just about everything. I haven't heard of it not working in anything. So the Zulu SCSI, as I say, has that compatibility to it as well. And of course, it's exactly the same size as a SCSI to SD, so it works in the same mounting brackets and all that sort of stuff. So the Zulu SCSI, they've got a brand new one out now, which is called the RP2040, and that is using a Raspberry Pi chip as the main brains. There are some challenges associated with that, which have been met with other things, but ultimately it's apparently faster again than the original Zulu SCSI. So, yeah. So anyhow, that's kind of the Zulu SCSI for anyone who is who's curious about it. I am a fan of all of these devices. I am a fan of SCSI to SD. I'm a fan of Blue SCSI. I'm a fan of Zulu SCSI. When it comes to my own stuff, I have my own vintage computers. I have, I actually don't have any with a Zulu in it at this stage. I am not particularly fussed about speed because most of my vintage collection are really old computers that are slow. So if you're going to get the fastest SCSI emulator and put it in there, it's kind of a waste of money because it's sitting in a really old computer. But I have these external Blue SCSIs. I use those. I have the external SCSI to SD. I use that as well a lot. I have Blue SCSIs in my computers, and I have SCSI to SDs in my computers. I have only one version 5.2, and all the rest are either version 5.0, the little slimline ones, or they are the version 4.2, which I assemble myself. And then the rest are sort of Blue SCSI. I've got quite a lot of computers with Blue SCSI. At the end of the day, Blue SCSIs are so cheap to make yourself that given the sheer volume of vintage computers that I have, they're really the only choice for most of them, because you go out, print yourself a big pile of PCBs from PCB Way, and you get yourself a bunch of PCBs, you order a whole bunch of things, and then you just go and sit down and make a whole stack of them. Just out of curiosity, Joe, do you use my assembly jig for the? I have the RP2040 Zulu inbound for testing. Yeah, cool. I've got one here at the moment. I've tested it in a couple of things. It seems fine, but I haven't done any speed tests on it yet. But Joe, do you have my assembly jig? It's not for the external. It's only for the internal. I can send you the the 3D file, whatever they're called. I can't remember. I can't remember the letters. I've forgotten. Ruggers Customs. Hello there. Long story short, the Zulu SCSI is the offspring of SCSI to SD and Blue SCSI. Yeah, you could put it that way. I mean, the offspring in that, I don't think the Zulu SCSI uses any code from the Blue SCSI, but it does use the concept of the disk images. So, STL, that's the word. I do use your jig, but only for doing the term and LED pins. Okay. I use it for everything. except obviously the blue pill has to go on the top. But yeah, this just made my life so much easier. Okay, well, I think that's it. I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to call it a day. And hello, pigeon. The pigeons are really hanging out in here today. There's one right behind me. You cheeky bugger. So I can do the rest of the thing fast enough. Fair enough. And you don't bend the pins, do you, Joe? I think I've given Joe enough grief about him bending the pins. He only bends two. He only bends 2 pins. I'll give him that. But he does bend the pins when he puts those resistor nets in. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Thanks for keeping me company. Thanks for sticking around for such a long time. 2 hours, 45 minutes. My gosh. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for keeping the chat lively and alive. It's all fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. Has been a fun live stream. I am going to try and do the live stream again next week. Maybe. Got family coming over from the US, so I'm not sure what my time is going to be like over. Oh, next weekend, definitely not. But sometime I will live stream again. So thank you very much for joining and have a good night. And I shall hopefully see you next time. Bye.